Good evening, everyone, and welcome to On My Mind Monday here on this Monday. This is February the 21st. Tomorrow's 2 Tuesday, and all that kind of stuff. Well, today's the day before that, right? Today is the 21st of February in the year of our Lord 2022. And I'm James Sayer, and I'm here to talk to you about what's on my mind this Monday. The first thing that I want to talk about this Monday was from an experience that I had this past week. So, a former colleague of mine who has had a very successful podcast and has authored a couple of books. Well, he actually released his second book. It's called The Pursuit of Excellence by Ryan Hawk, and it's so far a really good read. I'm just about halfway through. Really good stuff. Well, Ryan actually invited me out to his book release party, his launch party at a little restaurant. I was able to connect with a number of folks that were former colleagues, and actually able to meet a number of new people. It was a great time, and just great to see everybody and to celebrate Ryan's success. But I gotta tell you something. I thought of something the next day that really kind of hit me hard, because I am an extroverted person, and of course, as many people know, I've started a business, and it's a big deal to me, and it's top of mind. But one of the things that I really regret about this party is that I didn't listen more. There were so many fascinating people, so many people with amazing stories of their own, that I really feel like I should have listened better. I could have really gained a lot more had I listened more. It's not to say that I don't think I necessarily dominated these conversations, but I feel like I was talking maybe 55% of the time, and I'd like to lower that. But that's just something in me that I think about. But really, if we consider the fact that if we listen more, we learn, we grow, and we're able to use those things to really benefit ourselves and others in our walk in life. So, again, a fantastic opportunity to talk to friends new and old, colleagues new and old, and really catch up with some folks. And I do encourage people to read the book again, The Pursuit of Excellence. It's good stuff. Ryan has interviewed over 400 leaders in the areas of sports and business and the military and all kinds of things. So he's got a lot of great insight. And one of the things that I would say, there's a proverb in Scripture that says, if you walk with wise people, right? If you hang out with people that are wise, you'll become wise yourself. And that's one of the great things about listening to a podcast like that, where you're getting a lot of great people, or reading books by people that are wise. They've learned some things. You're able to walk with them and able to attain that wisdom and able to get it, and that's a benefit for life. Well, that's one thing that was really just top of my mind. Now, one of the things that was interesting, that just in passing, was that we just recently had an Olympics, and it seems like just about nobody cared. Now, from what I saw, the United States didn't exactly dominate the medal count, so maybe that's why it wasn't as big of a deal. I know that we also had kind of a diplomatic block on the Olympics. So even though we had athletes there, diplomatically, we weren't hanging out because, frankly, the Chinese Communist Party is a brutal dictatorship, and they have a horrible human rights record. And frankly, shame on the International Olympic Committee for even giving them the Olympics. That should never have happened. It's not to say that there aren't a lot of fantastic Chinese companies. I have very, very, very dear Chinese friends. We love the Chinese. Obviously, we love their food, all kinds of things like that. But the Chinese Communist Party, no bueno, right? We're not happy with them, and the Olympics are now over, and I think will be surely forgotten fairly soon. There's really just not a lot of story to tell there, but it was something that kind of was on my mind, and I'd thought about it. Another thing that I thought about just in kind of the world of the current events, and it's hard to get away from this one, and that is, frankly, what's happening in Ukraine with Russia. Of course, Vladimir Putin just earlier today concluded a speech, a rambling speech, which it's very hard to figure out what his real motivations are, but he basically has recognized two areas of Ukraine as their own kind of separate nations. One, of course, Luhansk, and the other one, Donetsk. And so, are these supposed to be new countries now, or what? And the idea is that he's going to use protecting them as a pretext to war with Ukraine. And I don't know who's going to buy it at this point. It seems like the rest of the world is not really going along with him at this point. I don't really know, what we're going to do about it at the end of the day. I mean, I'm sure there'll be sanctions and things like that, but the people of Ukraine, they've suffered greatly. Of course, they used to be part of the Soviet Union, which, interestingly enough, Putin was lamenting the dissolution of the Soviet Socialist republics. And, it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, though, right now, the president that we have, very low. He has very low approval ratings, and frankly, he's seen as being kind of weak. He really botched the Afghanistan withdrawal, and a lot since then really hasn't gone real well for him. And it's not just that he's some victim of this. He's turning the pressure on himself, and unfortunately, he just does not seem to have the wherewithal to get himself out. I just hope that a lot of good American men and women aren't the ones that are left to suffer because of his ineptitude. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Those are just, maybe some heavier things today. Now, on a happier note, and something that I was really happy about this past weekend, I actually got to go to a concert. So, okay, we've been back at concerts for a while now, and that's been a great thing. I've gotten to see a lot of great musical acts. I've gotten to see everything from an Iron Maiden tribute band that's all women. So the Iron Maidens are fantastic, a fantastic Iron Maiden tribute band, and these women bring it. They bring it, right? So we've gotten to see them. I got to see the Dayton Philharmonic, right, on the other side. I've gotten to see Alice Cooper and others, right? So that's been great. But this concert was particularly interesting. It's kind of niche. You see, back when I was in high school, I liked heavy metal music. Not a shock, because I still love heavy metal music. I still love it. But back then, back in the day, coming up in a Christian home, it wasn't exactly well regarded to listen to a lot of heavy metal until Stryper came out, right? So Stryper was the first major heavy metal band that sang for Christ. And then from there, a really interesting genre appeared, a niche in the music industry, and that was Christian, right? Christian heavy metal. And the two came together like a wonderful audio Reese cup, right? Of Christian sensibilities and Christian lyric, and then metal music. And so that was a wonderful thing, especially growing up in a Christian home back in the 80s, and that was a thing. Well, two of the better known, better selling, more regarded, if you will, Christian metal bands actually played a show together not far from where I live in Southwest Ohio. And it's interesting because, I mean, the one band is from Chicago and the other band's from Seattle. And so these are not bands that are from around this area in any way, but yet they played a show together. Bloodgood was the primary headliner, and then there's another band called White Cross, which also played. White Cross, of course, known for having a blistering guitar player, amazing guitar player, and then Bloodgood, just outside of Stryper, I think for the longest time they were probably the top selling of the Christian metal bands and that for quite a while. But so getting to see these acts together was just a lot of fun. Adding to the fun, former world champion wrestler, WWE champion wrestler Chris Jericho was there, and he kind of played MC to this thing. And he actually had the same kind of background that I did insofar as the music. So that was just a lot of fun hearing from him, hearing the music, seeing a lot of the people coming out to the show. Pretty well attended show to support the bands that were there. So that was just so much fun to just kind of have that trip down memory lane to really be able to celebrate that. So that is really what is on my mind today. I do want to give a shout out to my son who helped me today slog a bunch of pavers through the mud. My son's a good guy. He is not he is not necessarily what you would call someone who loves manual labor. He's studying for IT and he's working really hard on that, but that's over the computer. Those are things like that. And he got out today with me in the mud to get some pavers from a neighbor's house. And so I do want to give a shout out and a salute to DJ for all of his help today in getting me out of that. So speaking of getting out of the mud, we're going to get out of it for today's for today's edition of On My Mind Monday, the day where I tell you what's on my mind, and I will see you again next Monday with more from me. Thanks.